Okay, welcome back. Once again, we are combining the tricks and the traps and the master skills of the purpose questions into one video. And that's only because there aren't a lot of tricks and traps for this one, and the master skills are pretty straightforward. So let's get to it. Now, first of all, the tricks for this one, there's really only two. First of all, the main trick is that they are going to give answer choices that are factually true information, but they do not fit the verb or the verb phrase, or they're factually true, but they're not related to the information in question. So the first example where it doesn't fit the verb or the verb phrase, that would be, an example of that would be this one that we've gone through, where it shows that, to show that the information is not proven. Okay, well, the question was, why did the author mention Brown's later recollection? And as you know, that was his recollection about how Grant's and Brown's horses were killed. So that is information which was not proven because he remembered it later. So therefore, it's obviously not proven, which is a little bit of an inference. And it doesn't really show that, but at the same time, this is kind of a combination where it doesn't really explain the situation. But the main thing that it doesn't show that it's not proven. It's implied that it's not proven only because of the fact that it was a later recollection. So therefore, it's not. So it doesn't fit the verb of to show. It hasn't been shown. The other one was about how the information does not fit with that which is in question. A good example of that was with Klimt, where it said that he was proud of his work. Okay, they asked why they talked about the wealthy industrialist, and then they had this answer choice to show that Klimt was proud of his work. Okay, well, it does show in here that he was proud of his work by his statement here, which is also a little bit of an inference, but it has nothing to do with the Belgian industrialist. That information does not fit with the information right here in this question. So although it does fit with the verb, it's not related to what they're asking about. So that's the other possible trick that they use. So just to summarize, factually true information doesn't fit the verb or verb phrase. Factually true information not related to the information they're asking about. Those are the two main tricks. I've not really seen any other tricks. As you noticed, both of those involved making an inference. And that's one of the traps. That's basically the main trap, is presenting information so that you will use some of the same skills that you use on different question types. The last one being the implied or inferred meaning. So if you have to use any of the skills that you used in the other question types, like if you have to make an inference about the information to come up with the answer, then that's probably not the one. Because for this question, we are looking for a reason. The other trap is, and this is true with a lot of parts of the exam, is overthinking it. If you really have to spend a lot of time trying to think of the answer, then maybe you're overthinking it, because the answers are not supposed to be difficult. They only appear to be difficult if you're falling into if you're falling for one of their tricks, or if you're falling into one of the traps. And that is basically one of the traps. So if you're starting to get a little bit confused, maybe use the idea that your first guess is usually the correct guess. Now that's, one of those philosophies that's used in a lot of areas in life. It can also be used in this situation. If you're spending too much time thinking about something and you had an idea of what the answer was, but then you overthink it and then you are no longer sure if that's the correct answer, just pick it and move on. And that goes into our master skills. The last one being that if you're spending too much time on something, just pick the answer, usually the first one that you thought of, and move on. But let's go back to the top of the list here. So first of all, the main master skill that you have to have for this particular question type is that you absolutely need to know and comprehend all of the possible verbs in the answer choices. Remember that in the TOEFL Excellence course, I have made links to all of the different possible verbs that will take you to the Give Me Some English TOEFL database so that you can learn those verbs if you don't already know them. But otherwise, you should know all of those verbs by the time you're taking the TOEFL exam. The second master skill is that you should follow the strategy. Now, that one seems like a fairly basic thing. It's not necessarily a master skill, but it can be. Because if you don't follow the strategy, and maybe your strategy is just a little bit different than the ones that I present here. The ones I present here are the best overall strategy for just about everybody. But maybe yours is slightly different, and if it works for you, great. If you can save time with it, great. Follow it. Use that strategy and don't veer off of that strategy. In other words, when you develop a strategy and then you go to the exam, use that strategy that you've already developed and you've already used. Don't try to start using a new one on the day of the exam. That will probably cause you to lose a lot of time, and that is not showing your master skills. So as far as something a little bit more specific to this one, when you're looking for the answer, just ask yourself, does this information do what the verb is saying? And of course, I've been saying this over and over in all of the different videos here because that is the most important thing with this question type. Does this information fit with the verb? Is it asking, or is it actually showing or explaining or giving an example? If it doesn't fit with that verb, that's not the answer. Ask yourself, does this answer choice actually provide a reason? We could almost call this the reason questions, but it just doesn't sound as good because we're looking for the purpose. The purpose is a reason. If there's only one answer choice left after eliminating all of the answer choices and you're very sure of yourself, pick that one. That's the answer and move on. If there's more than one answer left, revert back to this one. Ask yourself, does this provide a reason? Usually, if there are two answer choices which seem to be the correct answer, one of them will be more of a detail and one of them will be more of a broader answer. Usually, the one that is less of a detail and more of a reason is the answer. Pick that one and move on. And like I stated before, if you're spending more than a minute on it or about a minute, move on. Now, like I said, with the strategy, I suggest that you read the entire portion of the reading passage that they give you because the actual information that holds the answer or holds the information that you need to find the answer, it might be in the surrounding sentences and not the one which the keyword that has the keywords from the answer, or excuse me, that has the keywords from the question stem. So, since you probably will be spending a little bit more time on this particular question, if it does go over a minute, well, don't panic. Just keep following the strategy. And if you don't know the answer after too much time, just pick it, move on. If you do this, make a note of the answer of the question that this is so that you can go back to it later when you have more time and spend a bit more time trying to make sure that you do have the correct answer. And as always, just relax, man. You got this.